Welcome to part 3 of this multi-part tutorial. We're now going to set up the UI. In case you skipped the previous parts, I'm going to go through what I've done so far. Here I've added some heroes since the last part. We have two libraries, a unit type library and a hero library, each containing pretty much the same data, just some unit types, a name, spawn effect, and color. And we add them in here. I also created functions to get and set, to add the unit and to get all the data about this library. Since the last time, for those of you who watched the previous tutorials, I moved the spawn effect over here, and I just have a single spawn effect preset, because I found out since it's exactly the same preset, it was better to just have one of them instead of duplicating it between them. So I renamed it to just spawn effect, and I put it here in the common folder, and yeah, then I'm adding them here. This way I can use the same variables for spawn effect here, for both the add hero and add unit. It also makes it easier later on when we're gonna spawn the units. I can, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's start on the dialog. So we're gonna create a new folder, selection dialog, and on the folder, variables, and finally functions. Just get them in the correct order. So we're gonna need another record and a variable here. As you see, I'll just copy up the other one. It makes it easier to set up. So just gonna call it selection dialog, and then the same thing here, selection dialog settings. It's already set to the correct preset, so I'm just gonna go in here and we're gonna add some setting, max buttons. Since I want to be able to scroll, I'm gonna set this to 5. We're gonna need comment. We're gonna need to store all our dialog items. So we're gonna need the dialog itself. We're gonna need our scroll buttons. It's gonna be a scroll up and a scroll down. So that's 2. If we make it 0 index, that's 2 elements. Maybe we want to use an icon behind it. So then we need it 2 by 2. So we have 0, 0, 0, 1, and so on. So I'm going to write a little comment here. X, Y, or just to make it understandable. Y equals scroll up, 2 equals scroll down, and then X equals Y is 1 equals button, 2 equals image. So that's how we're gonna set it up. For scroll up button, the first, the 0th element, the 0-based list. The 0th element is gonna be the scroll up button, and that's gonna contain a button and an image. And the second element is gonna be the scroll down, also a button and an image. Alright, we're also gonna need the item buttons, which we're gonna have 5 items. I'm not gonna make it 0. Actually, maybe I shouldn't make this 0 index either. I'm not gonna make it 0 index. I'm not gonna make it have icons, so I'm just gonna have the button, the 5 buttons. Just to avoid confusion, I'm not gonna make this 0 index either. just so it's easier to follow. So we'll just make everything indexed on 1, just like our arrays. Alright, so now we can store the dialog, the scroll up and down buttons, and the item buttons. We're going to need one more item. Select button to actually select whatever we pick. So our dialog, as I showed previously, is going to look something like this. I imagine we use the same scroll up button here, and then 5 items, then a scroll down button, and below that we'll create another button that just says pick or select or whatever. Okay, so let's get to it. We're going to create a new action here. Initialize. In here we're going to need to create a dialog. Creating a dialog is a pain in the arse, kind of. It's a lot of work. Anyway, let's get started. Dialog. Create dialog. This is fine. Width and height we're going to set later. Now we have to set the reference to our dialog inside here, since we need to store it so we can show it and hide it and so on. Last created dialog, not item. Oops. I set this here to be a dialog item. It should be dialog. There we go. Last created dialog. Lovely. Maybe some comments in here. So first we create the dialog, then we're going to create the scroll up button. So for the buttons, I think I'm going to write a function actually. I think that will make my life a lot easier. Since we're going to create a lot of buttons and I want them to look almost exactly the same. So I am going to, I'll first create one here. Create dialog item button. Last created dialog, width, height, those are fine. I'm just going to use the basics. You can add more offset. So I'm going to add support functions. What folder structure you use is up to you, but so I'm going to make it a function. Create dialog button, parameters, dialog, offset X, offset Y, integer, do I need anything else? I can just move this in here. Dialog. You could, of course, take more parameters. Button text, just leave it empty. Image, leave empty. Yeah, that's fine. You could add width and height here, but I'm going to put it in here instead. Settings, max buttons. $250, and we're gonna add the button spacing Y, so 5. You'll see in a moment why I'll do this. So let's just delete this thing. We don't need it. Since this is just for this dialog, you could of course make a universal function that takes everything in. That's what I've done for my map to create buttons. Is I create the same kind of buttons over and over. I create a single button with an icon under it. So I have a function that does it for me, which makes it a lot easier. So we're just going to take this dialog from here. We're going to take the width as well from the settings. This way, if I want to change some settings about my dialog later, I can do it easily from that one place inside here. Like if I want to add more buttons, we're just going to be able to change this here. Alright. So, we need a local variable here. Dialog height. Dialog height is going to be modified. Dialog width is going to be the same all the time. Since I'm not adding in width, I'm adding in height. Doesn't matter what it's set to at the start, we're going to resize the dialog at the end of this function. So, this function, need to finish this one. Needs to return a dialog item. So, return